5:30. Let's call this meeting to order for Monday, February 24th. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Klur. Here. Councilmember Collings.
Here.
Councilmember Stackfleck. Here. Councilmember Glodman.
Here.
And Mayor Redmond.
Here. Moving on to special presentations and announcements. Just an update on our closed session from earlier that you were all waiting outside for. We have dropped the civil case against Loge Hotel for non-payment of TOTs since June because they will be writing us a check in agreement for those funds that are due to us. And that's about all I can say on that. So anyways, that is the update on that. And we'll move on to public comments. So anybody wants to say anything that's not on the agenda, you have your 3 minutes now. Come on up one by one. Say your name, where you're from.
Hey guys, Nyan, Mount Shasta. You guys all know me. Good to see you. I just spent a month in Reno and Austin, Texas, and it's amazing to watch all the cranes in the middle of downtown and the track houses going out in every direction. And I was talking to the different planning departments and health departments about potentially expanding Thrive and stuff like that. And it was just really amazing to me how much regulation is in place in California and how much they were like, oh, you're from California? Psh, this is easy. You got this. And to look through it, and it really got me thinking about Mount Shasta and about growth. And I think one of the things that you guys really ought to consider is that regulations is what strangles businesses, makes opportunities not really worth it, right? And so for every new, just as a proposal, an idea to think about, for every new regulation or ordinance that you want to put in place, why don't you go through the old ones and decide which one you're going to sunset, or maybe even go bold and go for two. Just because being business friendly is being expansion friendly, and if you guys want to bring in more tax revenue and more people, then we need to be good to contractors. We need to be good to good businesses. We need to make it just a green light, an open door. So that's my 2 cents. Cool.
Thank you, Dan. Tom, did you want to go next?
Hi, my name's Tom Hesseldens, working on the Castle Street Greenway project. I just wanted to give you a quick update. I broke it into 2 phases, with the first phase being above the railroad tracks or potentially even up above Mount Shasta Boulevard up to Sisson Meadow. Second phase being below that, just to reduce the cost and make it simpler in terms of the process. The council and ad hoc committee wanted to look at the idea of the full block in front of ACE being a park. That would lose 46 parking spaces, but I was able to find all but 4 parking spaces to mitigate for that, most notably on the Brownell property that the city is purchasing. So the parking impact would be negligible. The cost at this point looks like it would be about $3.5 million for the first phase, going from the railroad tracks up to and including Sisson Meadow improvements. If we drop out the block where Napa is in this phase, then it drops it to about $3 million. I looked into funding, and the big problem is that Prop 12 and Prop 68 are pretty much spent, and the agencies are waiting for Prop 4 to come online, which will begin in the next state fiscal year, which begins on July 1st. So I'm looking at Sierra Nevada Conservancy, state parks, Cal Fish and Wildlife as potential funding sources. And then there's also the internal program through McConnell, but they always like to be the last money in, and they want a 50% match. But I do think that this would get funded, but it's going to take a while to get the process going. But we can make good use of that between now and then for more community outreach. That's my update.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
I have a quick question on that one. With the McConnell Foundation wanting that 50% match, does prior secured grant funding prior to them coming in count as that 50% match, or is that like?
Yes.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Well, yes. I mean, Most grant makers, interestingly, don't want to count money already spent, but they do count money already committed. So if we get state money committed, then we go to McConnell and say that. And this would be in their internal program. It's not a competitive program. It's outside the one that they run through the Community Foundation. I should also mention that because of what's going on federally, some of the state agencies that offer grants are using federal money, and that doesn't look like it's going to be available for the foreseeable future, but that's where Prop 4 comes in. That's all state money. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Bill, come on up.
Hi, my name is Bill Ramshaw, owner of Ramshaw's Ace Hardware. This year's our 80th anniversary. My grandparents opened it 80 years ago, and we're kind of excited about that. I just want to make it clear that the project, that for the Castle Street Park project, we don't feel that it would be advantageous for our business, if it doesn't destroy us. I'm going to hire a consultant to find out what they see what it's going to look like, what it's going to do to our business if something like this goes on. There's been a lot of changes going on, a lot of different things. Tom's been in contact with me, but I just kind of wanted to make it known that we are not for that situation. And if any of the council members wanted to come talk to me or check in with me and go over it, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Anybody else from the public? No? Okay. We'll close public comment, and we'll move on to council and staff comments, and I will hand that over to Todd to begin with.
Yeah. So just a slight clarification on our closed session item with the Loge. What we spoke about is dismissing the civil case upon knowledge that they have paid their back TOT and that they have reimbursed us for attorney's fees. So I'm hopeful that will be resolved soon. The remediation of the old hospital project we lost a week because of weather, but that's still ongoing, and we hope to get that wrapped up in the next couple weeks. And then somewhat related to the Castle Street project, we have Prop 68 funds partially for what was called the Castle Street Park project. We haven't spent a lot of that money, and we also have money for creating a landscape plan and redesign in front of City Hall. And what we're looking into is reprogramming what we have left to work on circulation and pave the two unpaved Brownell parking lots, now our property. Let's see, and wanted to float with this body the idea of coming back at the next council meeting to potentially put out an RFP for a communication statistical research firm to do sensitivity testing. What is the kind of tax measure that's likely to pass here? Do focus group research both with business and citizens to find out, where we should be spending this money if passed, and also to do some of the outreach. And the idea here is that we had a dedicated tax measure that didn't pass, and the more you float tax measures that aren't carefully thought through and or we haven't built the runway for, the more you have a measure that fails, the more likely you're going to have that into the future. So if this is the direction that council wants to go and look at that tax increase, let's do it right and, and figure out where the community is. Oh, and one other thing. Waste Management has asked, and I can agendize this, to see whether or not the council and the community want to include green waste service in what they do. And I can get pricing on that. So I'll bring that back and we'll give them a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Okay. Any other department heads with anything to chip in?
One interesting update. Can you hear me? As you know, the wastewater treatment plant's been having some difficulty meeting the zinc removal standards the state has set. We're doing a couple of things there. We're working with the state to see if we can change the parameters that those zinc limits were set with, mainly the maximum discharge from the plant and also the minimum flow rate in the river. By better gauging what the river is, we're working with the county to get more real-time data on the river flow, and that should help. Also, our maximum flow has dropped because of less improvements to our collection system. But one of the other things we're doing is we basically went through and picked a scattering of manholes in town to do testing for zinc, to see if we can see is it really a general disbursement of zinc in town, or are there some hot spots? And lo and behold, we found an area in the south part of town that's very high zinc compared to the rest of town. We're going to do some additional testing. We're going to grab more samples this Wednesday to see if we can narrow it down even more. Not saying this is going to solve our issue, but if we can isolate a zinc source, it might go a long way toward helping us.
You know what the source just might be that way, just as far as
I have no idea what it would be.
no hint yet, anything?
But it's an interesting thing we're hunting down, and it might be fruitful. We'll know more soon.
I wish you luck.
Yeah.
Any councilor comments? All right. Moving on then to committee updates. And again, Todd, anything with DAC or library?
No, excuse me. We have a DIAC meeting scheduled for this Wednesday, but I think we might have a quorum issue. Okay, so we're going to have to postpone that.
That's it? Okay. All right, moving on to consent agenda. The city manager recommends approval of the following consent agenda items. All resolutions and ordinances on this agenda or added hereto shall be introduced or adopted as applicable by title only, and the full reading thereof is hereby waived. A, approval of minutes, January 27th, 2025, regular meeting. B, approval of disbursements, accounts payable, January 22nd, 25, January 29, 25, February 12, 25, total gross payroll and taxes for the period ending February 6, 25. C, the monthly investment report for the period ending February 6th of 25. D, Police Department monthly report, January of 2025. E, approval of memorandum of understanding, dispatchers bargaining group, resolution CCR 25-09. And F, approval of memorandum of understanding, public works bargaining group, resolution CCR 25-10. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve consent agenda items A through F as by title only.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 5-0. All right. And moving on to the Mount Shasta Farmers Market presentation. Can we get Nancy Swift up here to entertain us with that? Don't be shy. Anybody else who want to join her?
Yeah, there's an entourage. There's a team.
There's a lot of you here. I know you're here to talk. So.
There's a big team. I'm Nancy Swift, the Executive Director of JEDI, which is the host of the Mount Shasta Farmers Market, which was started in this town in 1999. We are really grateful to you all for letting us be on your agenda, and I'm so impressed you only have an hour for your open meeting. That's pretty good. So we hope to only take maybe 15 minutes of your time. The team is here because we had a couple of things that we wanted to be sure that you all understood about the Mount Shasta Farmers Market, and we wanted to share last year's success with you so that you know some of the things that lie ahead for us. And we want you to know that we're a business in your community and that we're committed to the future success of Mount Shasta and certainly the a vital downtown. And we also want, I recognize this isn't usual maybe in your city council meetings, but maybe it'll be interesting for you to learn more about what this market means for the farmers and what some of the things that we've been able to bring together and bring to bear in this market, what that means for the community. So we're gonna have a couple farmers talk a little bit, if that's okay with you, and then thank you for the important steps you've taken over the years, which I'll close with. So this is the team that puts on the show 23 Monday afternoons in the summertime, May to October. We're hoping to do that again this year. We haven't come in for our permit yet. We wanted to share last year's success first and then get our special permit in right away. Colleen Shelley, she does Friends of the Market newsletter and everything related to keeping us organized internally at Jedi. And then Steve Gerace is famous to you all for many reasons, and we're excited that he's back as our market manager, and I think he was just going to say a few words.
So my role as the market manager is to help plan each season and make sure that each day at the market goes as smoothly as possible for the customers and vendors. And I really appreciate the help of the City Public Works Department. They bring out barricades and cones to help us set up the market and then pick them up after we're done. And I've been a journalist and a baker for many years in the community, and I have a great appreciation for the work that the farmers and food producers and artisans at the market do. And I feel good about helping them create a trustworthy environment where they can sell their products directly to customers.
We also are thanking you, the city. We also work really hard to be a friendly business in the community. So part of every year is making sure that we're in touch with the businesses and we're working together as collaboratively as we can with them because the downtown location is really important to us. So I want to be clear that Bill is here on his own volition, but he's one of our most important business owners because our market is next door to his businesses for our season. I'm going to rearrange the agenda. Founded in 1999, 109 vendors have been part of this market. And over half of them are farmers and ranchers. And they are exclusively for the farmers mostly from Siskiyou County. It has always been a mission of this market, started by Kirsten Olson, who you will hear from in a little bit, and I know that you all know her already, now with Cornerstone Farm. It's always been really important that we're not just a certified market. In 1977, the legislation was passed so that farmers could sell directly to their customers and not have to have all the packaging requirements. So that's why farmers markets are so important to people that are trying to provide fresh and healthy food to the community and also who are, and other products. So, it's always been important that we're supporting our local ag. Maybe our definition of local has expanded a teeny bit to sometimes include vendors from Shasta County because we don't have those products up here. But we work really hard to balance out a nice array of products for the customers, and also to be sure that we're creating great opportunity for our local farmers and ranchers. But 109 is just, I had so much fun going back over who all the vendors have been. I know you know this, but the food is harvested the day of, or maybe 24 hours before it comes to market, and it never comes for more than 130 miles. So it is fresh, it is something that people come and pay a lot of money for. And you see in the handout the fun facts that we got a grant to provide market match for our EBT shoppers, and that you're going to hear a little bit more about what that really means. It's a triple win, as we always say. It's a win for the person who gets incentives with their cow fresh dollars. It's a win to the farmer who gets that incentive, so now instead of $1, they get $2. And it's a win for the community because we have such a diversity of shoppers in the market. It's really important. Last year was our most profitable year, and we had 39 vendors who came more than 10 times out of the 23 days. Still, half of those were certified. So as you know, we in our market, we have farmers. We sell beef, we sell lamb, we sell chicken, eggs, plant starts, fruits and vegetables, and then and those all fall under the certified side. And then we also have food producers who are testing out their products. And this year we actually had 4 people baking bread. 2 of them were cottage bee permits, which means they were baking them at home, trying to figure out their product line. Both of them have expanded significantly since their start with us. So it's really great and fertile place for new products to be tested. But we did end up turning vendors away last year because we couldn't find a safe or tenable way to expand beyond the allotted space that we had. So we're really looking forward to having a new conversation about that, because that does affect our business too. And last year we had about, so it's during the pandemic we could count our customers, but we don't really have a prescribed fence around the market anymore. So we have to do some guessing, and we're committed to actually maybe getting some volunteers on site to do a different kind of count next year, this coming year, for our customer base. But we had 807 EBT customers, and we estimate that that's about a third of our total number of customers coming repeat. And 151 of them are new. And that might sound like a boring statistic, but what that's saying is that we've got shoppers who are trying us out for the first time, possibly because of the incentives. So with that, I would love to have, we're going to have 2 farmer families share a little bit. The first one is Kirsten Olson and Cornerstone Farm. And John, are you going to come stand next to her too? You guys going to come up? Okay, Kirsten.
Don't be shy. Both of you come on up.
If I cry, you can come, okay? Hi, I'm Kirsten Olson. I'd like to talk about 3 things very briefly. One is the council's role in creating the market. Second one I want to address some obscure, less obvious, less tangible benefits that the market offers. And the third thing is the fragility of the market. Anyway. The very beginnings of the market were right here in front of the city council when I came 26 years ago and asked for a variance from you for the city code to allow for an overarching merchant to have the permit instead of having every single sub-vendor required to have a permit. Does that make sense? So the council granted that. So this is your gig, okay? Once that happened, and only when that happened, could the market move forward, which means submitting rules and an application to the state. It meant finding the site with Union Pacific at the time, which is now Parker Plaza, getting insurance, bunches of little things, and creating rules for the market. The state required that we create rules. So the rules are based, not entirely, but they're patterned after the San Francisco Ferry Plaza Farmers Market, which is one of the most premier markets in the world. So the basis of this market is solid. It's really great. So in 1999, we're up and running. It's fairly common knowledge that markets promote tourism. They're a boost to most neighboring businesses, but there is so much more benefit in a community than this. One of Mount Shasta City's planners told me that the decision to move here and be the city planner was based partly on the fact that there was a farmer's market. I thought that was kind of cool. But there's more. There's more. The little things at market that don't get noticed, the little things that go so deep and so beautifully in community. We had a Vietnam vet selling flower bouquets, interacting in a safe community while dealing with his sometimes volatile PTSD. But the market is so welcoming that it was a beautiful thing to see. And here he is, a Vietnam vet selling flowers, right? A junior high school student named Maya wanted to transform the local school lunch menu to include more nutritious, more fresh food options, and the market offered her a little booth so she could talk about what she wanted to do, and we sponsored a raffle for her, so there were actually funds. Now she's, well, that vision went on to be the School Cafe Project, if you're familiar with that. And through that project, Driscoll Foundation donates monies for kids to shop the market. They get a $5 coupon to buy produce, not to buy baked goods, but to buy produce. And it's really great to see them with their $5, like looking at what do I want to buy, and dealing right with the farmer, not with their parents, but with the farmer. So hopefully we get some converts there. Maya's now a junior at Chico State University studying nutrition. There's a vendor at market whose son died tragically one winter, and she understandably withdrew from interacting socially for many, many months. And when she was ready, she returned to market and was able to interact in the small community before reaching out ever wider, right? There is a withdrawn, somewhat shy young girl who after school helps her grandparents at their market stall. And at the beginning of the season, she was so bashful and shy, it was like she was hiding at the back of the booth. By the end of the season, she was up front, present. What can I help you with? She's helping people with produce. She's taking their money, making change, smiling. It's a beautiful thing. My granddaughter. It's just a marvelous thing. We just randomly had this Eat Well tour across America, a huge, big, beautiful bus stop in front of the market. We got the notice less than 24 hours a day ahead of time that they were going to stop. And they stopped and they interviewed the public, they interviewed the farmers, they had a great time. And this was a tour that went around the whole country and stopped at farmers markets everywhere, ending up in New York City at the Farm Aid concert with Willie Nelson, okay? Ending up giving this market the award for friendliest market. So those are the little things that the market does that it's hard to know about, but that's what it does. But even so, the market's fragile. In the past 25 years, at least a dozen farmers markets in this county have failed. Okay. It's not easy to keep the market healthy, and there's a huge amount of work going on behind the scenes, right? Not only farmers, but these guys here, and much of the community. The market is dedicated to supporting and honoring local growers, and anyone who grows a garden or a flower patch in Siskiyou County knows how challenging it is. Late freezes, early freezes, pests, water, and heat issues, not to mention weeds, are all willing to destroy a crop. But for those who are willing to meet that challenge, the market is encouraging and welcoming and provides a space and a customer base with a minimum amount of cost to the grower or producer. It provides the opportunity to receive feedback directly from the shoppers, and it gives shoppers the opportunity to know where their food is grown, to know who is helping to feed them. The market is an incredible asset in our community that needs to be protected and nurtured, just as one would tend to a garden. Thank you.
Thanks. Marble Mountain Farm. See, this isn't business as usual tonight, right? We won't keep you up all night.
Hi, I want to introduce myself. I'm Hollis Baldwin, and I own and operate Marble Mountain Farm with my husband. I started farming more than 20 years ago. My goal was to feed people and work toward improving local health and food security. We began attending Mount Shasta Farmers Market in 2014 when I was pregnant with my second son, and I loved engaging as a family in farming and bringing my kids to the market and having them interact, and they'll help at the booth. It's been just a great educational opportunity for them, and bonding for the whole family. Mount Shasta Farmers Market has been our largest market since the beginning. It currently makes up approximately 30% of our income. Food stamps and the Market Match program are huge benefits, both to the market and to us. We've seen them increase in popularity and boost market attendance. Generally, they make up about 15 to 20% of our sales. Mount Shasta Farmers Market has served as a place where shoppers can meet their producers, ask questions, and build trust in the quality of their products. Producers can get full price for their goods, which is invaluable. There aren't many other places where you can do that, maybe if you have a farm stand, but otherwise, you're wholesaling. So having the opportunity to meet your consumers and communicate with them directly is wonderful. So to get to, we live in a happy camp, so very small rural town, right? We're used to disasters out there. I don't know if you guys know about the Slater Fire, 2020, it's like there's always something. Mudslides, something closing the road, floods, it's everything, We regularly deal with all of that. Even though we still prioritize Mount Shasta Farmers Market. Like one time last year, I got permission from the Office of Emergency Services to get through a closed fire zone to get to the market. Got to the market, did the thing. There was torrential downpour. On the way back, the road was closed by flood. So it's intense, But what I really want to talk about is, the food security aspect of farms and supporting farms, specifically Mount Shasta Farmers Market and how it has supported us and other farmers. When supply chains broke down during COVID, farmers were there to provide fresh, local food to people when it wasn't available anywhere else. And farming it's not easy. It's very difficult. Recently, I was talking to our local CDFA representative, and she told us that the percentage of farmers who survive entirely on their own farm income is 0. Everybody has another job. Nobody can support themselves entirely on farming. farmers markets help to increase the value. And, Mount Shasta Farmers Market has been an amazing supporter of our farm. They flexed and they adapt during COVID, and they've advocated for our community during the Slater fire. And, most importantly, they provide an essential opportunity for us to build relationships, both professional and personal, and give our farm and our family tools to survive and thrive as a business. Thank you. That's what I have to say.
Hi, my name is Ross Houston. I'm Hollis's husband and own the farm with her. And I just wanted to add that part of our farm's mission, our business's mission statement, reads that we believe in and actively pursue the development of strong, locally based food systems as the backbone of healthy and sustainable communities that support balanced, functional ecosystems, economies, and society at large. And I just wanted to say that the Mount Shasta Farmers Market has helped our farm to achieve this goal. Our goal is to pursue these things, to help pursue this goal. So we're very thankful, and it's an invaluable asset for our business. So, thank you.
There's a number of other people in the audience who are... Is it on now? There are a number of other people here that are available to speak, here in support of their fellow vendors. I just also wanted to remind you, over the years, if you did actually read the handout on the fun facts, you see that I quoted you all from a grant application. It was 2015. And you talked about this market being an economic development tool since the start. And that's what JEDI holds. You can hear the farmers. You can hear what that means to them and why markets were created. Why we carry it and work so hard to have it be the best situation that it can be for the farmers is for the economic development. That's local wealth that stays right here. Those are families that are living here, spending their money here too. And we know, there are studies, but we see it every time we put on a market, the vibe down there, what happens. So it's definitely something that is fragile, as Kirsten mentioned, but is also, we can make good choices around that. And I hope that the city continues to hold that as an important economic development tool that you all have in your tool bag. You did, when Kirsten was talking about permits, you didn't give everybody a permit, you gave us a business license. And that actually is really important, as she said, and I think even the city of Wairika is going to come talk to you about how that works, because it's not true in other cities. So thank you for that. We've been in several different spots downtown. I thought maybe one of those kids back there was going to tell you his favorite spot, which is along the boulevard next to Parker Plaza, also in Ray's parking lot, also in the little dirt patch by the railroad, which nobody can use anymore for that, and obviously in the Castle Street parking lot. So we are constantly looking for the best place for the city to put us and for us to create a really vibrant, fun scene each time. And we want to be partners in that with the business owners and with you all each year when we have that discussion. Along those lines, too, we are very much want to be part of the future. I know there's a lot of development that's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years in that area, and we just want to be one of your partners in that. There was reference to it, but I also do want to give you all some credit. During the pandemic, the state deemed certified farmers markets as essential, so we were allowed to be open. The county allowed us to open if we met a million different protocol requirements, and we did, and we spread out, and we had gloves, and we wore masks, and we figured out, actually, one of the best things is that it increased the number of vendors who now use some kind of smart device to receive payment. But you all embraced us and gave us the permit to be able to be open for, that was 2 years that we had to face those protocols. And as there were 5 beef producers who were coming to the market during the pandemic because all of their distribution channels had been broken. Now, we can buy Prather Ranch beef at the grocery store here, but you can't buy like Star Walker because they all learned that if they put up a website and figured out the shipping issues, they'd be able to sell it to you direct off their website. So we encourage you to go look for some of our vendors on there. But it was a moment when the food distribution was really breaking. It was a moment, and I know that you have very loyal citizens because of that. So with that, we just want to say thank you. We really are here to say we're a partner. We had the best year ever last year. We want to continue to grow. And I don't know if you have any questions of anybody, but that was way longer than 15 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is my 5th year on City Council, and that was the most touching, personal, out of the park presentation that I've ever seen. So kudos to all of you. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
I have a question.
On behalf of everyone.
You mentioned that there were vendors in 2024 that you had to turn away due to space constraints.
Yeah.
If you were, I know this is not what this is about today, just thinking for the future. If you were looking to expand, do you know roughly how many vendors potentially would be added just from those ones that were turned away?
Well, we talked to 47 vendors who wanted to be, and they were, we never turned away an ag producer. So those would have been food producers or artisans. And that's just from who found us last year.
Interesting.
We have visions of having some kind of a year-round market, retail, commercial kitchen. We'd love for that to be near where the market happens. Don't know what that looks like at all, but we have that desire and vision also. So I'm hoping it fits with some of these plans. Yeah, so if your other question, Casey, was how big do you want to get? I would say we would want to have somewhere around 60 vendors. And we have a commitment to half of those being ag. So in some ways we're limited because there are only so many people who are new ag producers. But.
Todd, I guess I got a question for you on this. With our acquisition of the Brownell parcels, can we expand over to there since food trucks would be allowed on that?
Without knowing all the details on the face of it, it sounds like that's possible. It's a good question for Jeff.
Yeah, it's just the empty spots on the other side of that dedicated ACE parking lot behind the vets.
Yes.
That we bought. If you guys are interested in possibly expanding there, if that can work out.
So we were having conversations about that last year. There needs to be power, and it needed to be cleaned up before we were comfortable being there. But of course, we'll have conversations like that. But power actually is another growing issue.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So any other questions before I open this
And
up to
just so
public
you,
comment? Go ahead, sir.
I'm so sorry. We have one food truck that does come in the market, and we'd love to be part of, if you said you were building the food, I don't know if you were talking about food truck court, but we'd love to help you do that.
The parcels that the city took over, food trucks would be allowed on there already. So that's why I was thinking the farmer's market could go there, let alone the food truck that already does show up. So, anyways, okay, so now we'll open this up to public comment for anybody who wants to talk about this for 3 minutes, kick in their 2 cents.
Thank you.
Hi, Bill Ramshaw again. So I want to let you guys know is I 100% support the farmers market. I think it's a great thing for our community. I think a couple things that could help it is more parking. They have their vendors back into a third of the spots with their trucks and then have tents down the middle. If you go to any other farmers market or even our 4th of July, for instance, if you look down Main Street, 4th of July, they don't have vehicles at every booth. If they take those vehicles and put them behind Napa and just have their tents there, they could open up all that parking for my store and for their patrons, and it would help both sides of it. I've kind of lobbied them for this for the last several years, but it goes on deaf ears. I do get a lot of complaints from my customers that are locals. They do get frustrated when they come down and they need parts and pieces from my store. They can't get to me. And so parking is an issue. We did purchase that one lot that you were talking about several years ago and turned it into our employee parking lot so that we wouldn't be a strain on other businesses downtown. I know there's parking regulations downtown that are not being enforced. As far as Main Street, there's 2-hour parking and et cetera, where there's people that park there all day long, and that hurts all the retail business owners. And so if you do keep it the same this year, I would say come down on a Monday afternoon and look at how many parking spots are open. And so if we're pushing for visitors to come to town, if there's no parking downtown, they're just going to drive right by. And so parking is a big issue. So just keep that in mind. I do close my bathrooms because I became a bathroom stop for the farmers market. It would be nice to see that if they did have bathrooms for their patrons, or if they do move up to Shasta Park where there are bathrooms and there is shade. I know it got hot a couple times, and I had people complaining about how hot it was outside for the farmers market. But again, I think it's a great addition to our community, and I am all for it. I just think we can work together and get it touched up. Thanks.
Fine tuning, no problem. Yeah, we'll go to that,
Hi guys, me again. Ryan, I'm Shasta. Many of you guys know I started at the farmers market. I started my business 7 years ago, or 8 years ago, at the farmers market. And most of these people are like family to me. We I did a booth for 5 years, and we expanded to Ashland and Medford, and started distributing far and wide. And COVID hit, and then we decided we needed to focus more on Thrive. And Thrive in that has been thriving, and we've generated probably $1 million of taxes revenue since we've opened. So the farmers market is not just a staple in the community, which it is. Oh, by the way, my daughters are the ones that started the school cafe club to bring more nutrition to children. So our whole family's been involved in trying to make the community a healthier place. But not only is it a staple in the community, but a decentralized food supply is shown. In times like COVID or any other kind of hiccups, we need to have a diverse food supply and a localized and a strong, robust. So part of that means that these guys need prime visibility. When we were on the boulevard, we did killer sales. We did Ashland and Medford markets, and Mount Shasta was always our best market. And then when we moved it to Castle Street, our sales were cut by 50% immediately, and we had the prime spot right next to the band, the highest visibility spot. So that was one of the other deciding factors. So when you guys are going to have that conversation of where the farmers market should belong, it should be in the highest visibility place that it can be, because companies like myself, we wouldn't exist if it wasn't for people like Kirsten and Nancy Swift, Colleen, Padge, many others. This is not just about a nice event in the summertime. It's an incubator for small businesses, and it's also security for food insecurity in times of chaos, like we've seen in the last 5 years or so. So anyway, I'm very pro farmers market. I don't participate anymore because I have my hands full, but I'm very, very much pro, and I owe them the world. And I hope you guys really take it seriously that the expansion and the robustness and the visibility of the farmers market is really, really key component. Thanks.
Thank you, Niall. Anyone else from the community? All right, we'll close public comment on this, bring us back to council. And Jeffrey, you had something you wanted to say?
City manager, Bill brought up people who work downtown, employees, owners, parking all day. And while we've made it clear that enforcement is not something that we're able to do, he reminded me that there once a year used to be a single page flyer sent out, walked around to all the people who participated, who have stores downtown, to remind them that, hey, we want to have parking for customers, not for your employees. Park off of the main areas to leave those spaces. And once a year, this one pager was to remind everybody, let's get back on doing this. And his comments just reminded me that that was something that I brought up to Jeff a while back, or gosh, it's 3 or 4 months now, but I just wanted to bring it back up. I think that's would be if you can work that into the schedule, that's something I think we ought to be able to get done.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that. How successful was it? How successful was that?
Like most things in life, short term. But if it becomes a regular thing, like every year it comes out, it gets a little better. It tends to be more short term than long term, but at least it makes it better for a while.
Okay.
In my experience is about get 4 months out of that. We have this quite often up on Everett Memorial across from the high school because people like to park angled instead of parallel. And we have to go up and remind the homeowners up there a couple times a year to, it's not a parallel parking, it's parallel parking, not angled parking. So yeah, that's a simple fix of, we can get a schedule put together where we just remind the businesses. That's easy.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, very much for that. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to number 9, the vacation of Field Street. And we'll hand that over to Todd and what we did wrong.
Sure.
Get it legal for Danco. Just a sec. Thanks again, everybody.
It's interesting.
We'll see you in a few months. We wondered what they were here for.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Back in August of 2023, when we were looking at we had approved Danco's Mountain Townhome project. To help accommodate the project, we vacated half of Field Street, and that's been recorded. Tom is part of the team that's trying to actually implement this and get construction started in the summer. And one of Danco's consultants started to pour through the documents and noticed in the actual resolution that was passed that there was a statement that the vacated portion of Field Street may be used by Danco for the purposes of maintaining a retention basin necessary for its low-cost housing project. And I don't know how it got in there. Believe it was added by John Kenny. That was never the intent, but we're making this clerical change so this doesn't hang us up later on.
So the wording was added after we voted on the resolution?
No, that was the language that was written in there, when we passed it.
Okay.
Yeah, and what we, like to add is the vacated portion of Field Street may be used by Danco for the purpose of ensuring quality design and functionality of its affordable housing project. So very generic, but that way we fix it, and there's no question. Nobody can say that it's inconsistent with the project that'll be built.
All right, so this is pretty straightforward. Any questions? Anything? Okay, we'll open it up for public comment. Any of the 4 people left not here for farmers market want to comment on that? Tom, go right ahead. You're part of it.
I would just clarify that I was part of presenting to council at that time why that partial vacating of Field Street would be helpful to the project. And I was surprised when their consultants found out recently that the wording was different than what had been presented. Because normally when the city vacates a right-of-way, it gives up the rights to use that right-of-way, and then it goes to the adjacent landowners and they can use it as they see fit, consistent with zoning or whatever. For example, I worked on the hospital vacating of Field Street back in the 1990s, and half of it went to where the hospital needed to do wetland mitigation and stormwater mitigation combined. But the other half went to Siskiyou Medical Group with no restrictions whatsoever. It's now part of the property that you see a for sale sign on right now. And the city held back a utility easement, which makes total sense. So if the city's going to vacate any property, it needs to think about how that could have been used or might be used into the future. So in the case of Field Street, it's an 80-foot right-of-way, and the Browns own the property. Mike and Vanetta Brown own the property beyond there, and the city has existing utilities going up through there. So we determined that the city retaining 40 feet would be sufficient for the Brown property and for the city utilities, and that the Danco portion would help them have a better design for the buildings, the sidewalks, and the ingress, egress, and stormwater mitigation and wetland avoidance for all those reasons. So anyway, that was the full history, and it was a surprise to see that the wording didn't come out quite how we thought it would.
A year and a half later, here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Tom. We will close public comments if there's nobody else in there. Bring it back to council. Anything before we vote on this?
All right, I'm going to move to approve the following changes to resolution CCR-23-22. First paragraph will now read, whereas the Danco Mountain House 24-unit affordable housing project requires use of a portion of Field Street to provide adequate room sizes, sidewalks, ingress, stormwater drainage, and other project elements to ensure quality design and functionality of the project. And further change is down in the second resolution, and it will now read, it is further resolved that the vacated portion of Field Street shown as Exhibit A attached may be used by Danco for the purpose of ensuring quality design and functionality of its affordable housing project. Those are the changes.
Do we have a second? There we go. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? None? All right, moving on to number 10, approval for 100% design drawings for library expansion. Again? Todd?
Okay.
Are we just going to be back here in 3 years for the same agenda item? And this is like the third time in 7 years for me.
I don't think so.
Is my sarcasm a little palpable? Sorry.
It's earned. So as many of you know, there was a quarter cent sales tax measure to support the library in renovation and expansion, passed a little bit more than 10 years ago. And the Library Expansion Committee that has 2 members of council, Councilperson Stackfleth and Councilperson Klur on it, as well as myself. And we originally went out for an RFP to find qualified architectural design firms, to take this job on. When we found Nolan Tam is out of Berkeley, and They specialize in refurbishing, reconstructing, adding additions or whole-scale new libraries. So this is the firm to do this work. They're expensive because they're charging Berkeley rates, and there has been a lot of debate with that committee in that a lot of the folks on that committee have invested a lot of time, and they want to see something happen. And having Knoll and Tam actually carry out the design and full construction, we found it was going to be, pretty expensive. And so what they agreed to and gave direction to Knoll and Tam is for them to produce 100% design drawings that would then come back to us. We would then put out an RFP seeking a qualified GC and the subs that are required to see this through. And Knoll and Tam would be available at an hourly rate if we need them to make sure that their design intent is seen through construction. So what we have here is a contract to pull Knoll and Tam on to produce those 100% design drawings at a cost of $156,360, which is actually not bad.
Okay. So to clarify, by design drawings, we mean these are the detailed drawings,
it's
thick packet, engineered, stamped, or we're going to have to resend them out for more design work?
Full design.
Right.
They have.
This is very important, folks. In other words, for $156,000, we're getting the full design, engineer approved design for the library expansion and renovation, and that's actually kind of cheap.
Yep.
I think.
Full design set.
Yeah.
What was the cost last time we went through this?
$250.
What's that?
What was the cost on the design stuff? Was that what it was? $250? Okay.
All combined. Now this is $156, and we've already paid them about $40 or something.
Yeah, 40, 45.
So
Yeah.
this is about $200 to them. So it's still cheaper than Mount Shasta.
They're still coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Riddle.
To the chair. I just wanted to add that part of the committee is also members of the community and Friends of the Library, and we've been back and forth with these designs and who will design them, and everyone is adamantly in favor of this, so just wanted to share that as well.
Yeah.
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 So we got agreements. Their infighting is done, is what you're saying? Okay, because there was a lot of infighting 5 years ago.
No, we're singing from the same hymnal now.
Okay. Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, go ahead, yes.
I think this is the appropriate time to ask. It's a question. I'm not on the committee, so I'm a little unaware of the one big picture element, which is when I read through this, it said the quarter-cent sales tax pot of money and annual revenue stream would be able to pay the $4.5 million current estimate of.
So that would help us get to the design drawings and the income that we see annually, plus what we do have in savings could be leveraged in the form of a loan to be able to carry out the library renovation and the addition.
So the numbers go like this, Jeff. There's about over $1 million in reserve from that tax. So the 156 will be paid from that, and then the surplus, the yearly surplus, operating expense versus the tax revenue, right now is about $200,000, maybe a little more. It's been said from LTAC that might be shrunk a little bit because some expenses might be going up with respect to labor. But the question is, will the surplus, the yearly surplus, cover the loan payment for this project? And that is to be determined. We also may get some grant help, but at this point, I don't know. to me, it smacks of a situation like with the sewage treatment plant, where you get a short-term loan, a bridge loan at a higher interest rate, complete the project, and then go to the USDA, and they have a library development fund, and then you just transfer it to a 40-year loan. And then the payment on a 40-year loan would be definitely within the surplus amounts that the library sales tax is generating. But there would be some financial wizardry at the beginning to make it work, just like there was with the sewage treatment plant.
Also, the 4.5 million that you're seeing is them averaging that out at Berkeley construction rates. So we're pretty expecting that number to significantly go down once we price it out with our local rates. So.
Yeah, and just keep in mind that the original estimate, kind of echoing what Councilperson Clure said, is that the price for construction was based on GCs and subs at Berkeley rates. And the reason we brought them back here and going out for an RFP is we think we can save a significant amount of money by going with local GCs and their teams.
Sorry, one more time with that. These two are distracting me.
So,
But the construction loan cost might be cheaper.
yeah, exactly. The estimate that we got from Noel and Tam for their, a GC and their subs were Berkeley rates. By bringing it back here with that design set in hand, we'd be paying local rates, which we believe will be considerably cheaper.
Okay. Any other questions before I open this up to public comment? Jeffrey? Casey? Nobody? All right. We'll open it up to public comment if anybody wants to talk about this. Seeing no participation, we'll close public comment. Bring it back to council. And I guess we...
All right, so this isn't in resolution form. Did I make a motion? All right, so I'm going to move to approve the proposed contract with Nolan Tam Architects to produce 100% design drawings for the library renovation and expansion project at a cost of $156,360.
We have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None? Okay, moving on. 10 to 11. Okay, the public hearing on snow removal ordinance, the first reading. And Ken, you have the ball.
Council, Mr. Mayor. Currently, the city does not charge residential and commercial accounts for plowing the streets. The city does charge downtown businesses for clearing sidewalks and for the wheel loader and dump truck snow removal services from the center of the street. Under this proposal, the city would shrink the area we currently center plow and remove snow and sidewalk clearing services as staff needs to clear the street in a timely manner. And as you probably see, after a significant snowstorm, it takes us days, if not weeks, to get all the snow removed from the downtown area. The reduction in center plowing the reduction in area will allow the staff to clear the roadways more quickly and to restrict expenditures related to contracting heavy equipment and operators. Actual costs for this new service will be billed to the commercial downtown businesses. The billing for the snow removal services will be finalized after the snow season, definitely before June 30th of the fiscal year, and customers will be charged through their business license fees. It's worth noting this is a service specifically provided to downtown businesses for their economic benefit. Under advice from council, the most equitable way to allocate charges is to base it on building square footage. Also worth noting, residential properties in the downtown business district will not be charged, as this is an additional service to benefit the commercial businesses only. As part of this proposal, the city will center plow, remove snow from medians, and clear sidewalks on Chestnut and Mount Shasta Boulevard from Alma to Water Street, including all cross streets. Snow will be cleared on both sides of Chestnut from Lake to Alma. Then snow will be removed from the median and sidewalks will be cleared. The north side of Mount Shasta Boulevard from Alma to East Jesse will be plowed to the west side of the street, consistent with current practices. No snow removal or sidewalk clearing services will be made available by the city in that area. To enable sidewalk clearing on existing sections as narrow as 4 feet, like the east side of Chestnut, an additional piece of snow removal equipment will be purchased, with the cost being depreciated over a 10-year period. This will also, in addition to the narrow spots on Chestnut, will allow us to work around sidewalk furniture, if you will, poles, light posts, electrical boxes, and whatnot in a better, more efficient manner than we're currently doing. So the recommended action is to approve this ordinance seeking to capture the true cost of snow removal within the downtown business district. Tonight would be the first reading.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Questions? Go ahead. Oh, I thought you were saying. Anyone? Casey, go ahead, yeah.
Go ahead. I have a question about, so the cost is assessed at the end of a snow season, essentially.
Correct. And again, in talking to legal counsel,
yeah,
several ideas were kicked around. Take a 5-year average and charge every year what that average is, and then reassess it every 5 years to see if it goes up or down. But again, according to Mr. Kenny, the most defensible way is to track the actual costs every year.
I guess my question is, what happens to a business that operates in the, that like goes out of business during part of that season? I don't know how significant a percentage of the whole cost like each individual business would be, but who eats that cost at the end of the season if they're no longer even a business? Do they still get charged, or?
If it was feasible or possible to charge them, yes.
Okay.
To the chair?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like a rate study in one essence, determining how much the actual cost is and then seeing if it's appropriate. And
a yearly rate study.
And then secondly, it sounds like you're wanting to change the process in how much snow is moved to the center. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, we're shrinking the area. If you look at Exhibit A, you'll see that we don't go any further south on Mount Shasta Boulevard than, I believe it's Alpine.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which is definitely shortening it up from what we're currently doing.
Okay.
Yeah, because you guys were going all the way down to Greenheart and all that, 610.
Okay, I'm with you. Thank you.
It's both for efficiency and safety.
Go ahead.
Ken, I wanted to discuss the timing, the time it takes to clear the sidewalks, plow to the center, and then remove the center. Okay. We're roughly in about a day we can finish plowing to clearing the sidewalks and plowing to the center. Is that?
It's good average, yes.
Good average, roughly. The removal of the snow from the center plow can take 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 days.
No, they usually do it in a night.
It can take days, but again, it's so variable. If we have one big dump, it can take maybe a couple of days. Definitely, this would shorten it. Right now, we're spending days, but yes, this might get it down to a day. Quite often, though, we don't have a single deposit of snow. We have an ongoing series of storms that comes through, so we're constantly plowing and hauling.
Well, and I've been paying attention because obviously we worked on this, and I was trying to see, well, okay, how's it going?
Yeah.
Because, of course, the objective is get the town back to comfortable parking spaces and walking spaces as fast as possible without having to drive up costs too much by going to third-party loaders and dump trucks to haul the snow away. Are we doing that? I mean, I don't know what...
This will I'm not going to say we're not going to contract out anymore, but this will definitely reduce the amount that we contract out.
Okay. Do we have a sorry.
Go ahead.
Do we have a standard that when you have a standalone storm, 1.5 feet, do we have a standard that we're working towards? Like, if that happens and it's just that storm, we have a 12-hour fall of 1.5 feet, pretty common storm, that we're trying to get this done in 48 hours, or do we have a benchmark that we're shooting for anyway?
No.
Okay.
I really don't try to constrain the crew like that. It's a case-by-case judgment. What people I have available, how much overtime are we willing to pay? What's the prediction of the weather for the coming day? There's too many variables to say, okay, we're going to have it cleared in 48 hours. Okay. It's a good target, but
yeah, I'm just trying to come up to speed. Thank you, appreciate it.
Do we have to remove the center berm after we plow? Do we have to do that? Just let it melt out?
Again, as a safety issue, both for sight distance. Actually, not just that. I mean, that's the reason we have people crossing the street all the time in the middle of the block. So it's for access, it's for sight distance and safety. It's for when you have those berms in the middle of the street, and unfortunately, we're not like Jackson Hole where things stay frozen solid until spring. We have a freeze thaw, so we end up with these big sheets of black ice.
Well, the melt off run. Okay.
Yeah. So we really can't leave it.
Okay. Any other questions before I open this up to public comment? Yeah. All right. Anybody? Nyan, coming up. We'll open it up to public comment.
We're all for safety. We're all for sight distance. Should I pause and wait for that? Okay.
No, actually, they cranked you up.
So, but as I started out today on my first time up to the podium, we said, let's put a green light for business. So Chestnut Street, for example, under this proposal, the residencies don't pay for the snow removal. So what does that leave? It leaves me, Bill, and John. Basically, that's it.
Crave.
Paid for all of Chestnut Street. That's absurd. And you're going to hit us in the time when we get a snowstorm, we close. There's no point in being open. We lose money. We lose thousands and thousands of dollars every time it snows. And it's not because people don't want to come in, it's because they can't. They got to shovel themselves out. So you want us to pay for the removal of the whole street on that whole time? That's just another nail in the coffin of businesses in this town. I mean, that is just the most absurd thing that I've heard, that if you're going to do, I agree, we need to figure out how we're going to pay for this. 100%, we need to figure out how we're going to pay for it. But if you're going to hit businesses and not residents, it should be property owners per square foot that you own of that area in that downtown district. You don't just tax the businesses that are already getting wounded, already sending them staffs home. This is just another reason that businesses don't want to come into Mount Shasta. So we need to change that whole attitude and say, okay, this is the area that we're going to do the highest amount of snow removal assembly. If you own 40 square foot, 100 square foot, this is the price per square foot. Resident or business, period, flat rate. And maybe it's assessed at the end of the season and hit up in the summertime. And we all pay up in the summertime when everybody's making money. But yeah, that just seems absolutely absurd and ridiculous. Thanks.
Thank you. Bill, you got anything you want to? Okay.
So it sounds like I'm going to be affected the most by this. We have 3 buildings in downtown, probably with the most, I don't know, is it by square foot? Is it by just per building? What is it? What's the?
It's by square foot of your
It
building.
is by the square foot of the building.
So I'm 2,000 square, so I would have 2,000 square divvied up on this.
Sure. And so I'm, between all my buildings, I'm 15,000.
A lot more than that. Yeah.
The biggest one in the downtown area. I've lived here my whole life. We've always had snow down the middle of the street. I'm probably in that area the largest tax provider for sales tax in that area. We get hit by everything down there, and it's. I'm getting hit by like a lot of homeowners with their insurance, our business insurance and fire insurance. We got dropped twice down there. And of course, each time it goes up $10,000. Minimum wage goes up every year. It's hard in California to be in business. And every time we get another tax or fee, I get taxed on my lumber that I sell. I get taxed on all the paint that I sell, batteries. You just go down the line, there's fees for everything. And all the other businesses, the small businesses downtown, it is a struggle each time there's more fees. I do agree it does need to be taken care of. And I don't understand the percentages and where it was in the last, 50 years. They've had snow removal downtown, why it's changed so much if that part of the general fund has been taken away from that department. I don't know, but it definitely, it just goes on to the, I'm going to have to pass it on to my customers, which then somebody like Solano's doesn't need to because they don't have that issue. So I do clear my own sidewalks because we keep it very clean and safe as far as that goes. We do get the sidewalk fee, or we used to. I don't know if there still is there. But anyway, I'd really like you guys to rethink that. Thank you.
Hey. Anybody else? Just looking at you, you're the third one in here. No problem. Okay, we'll close public comment, bring it back to council, and Jeffrey, you ready?
Yeah. If it's okay, I'd like to address some of the perspectives that there seems to be some confusion on, or at least need clarification. One is for Chestnut Street, Nyan, you 3 businesses are not paying for that whole block. It's everybody in the business district by square footage is added up and it's divided across everybody. It's all the businesses. Everybody gets by square footage, and so you're not paying for the whole, because that would be a crazy load, and you're not. And Bill, relative to the $12 that is what you were being charged since the 80s. Clearly, we were not paying attention to the amount of monies that the city was spending to center plow, to clear sidewalks, center plow the streets, and then remove the center plow snow.
But that was my understanding. That was just the sidewalks for the $12.
Correct. And then this is basically putting that fault on the business and not the people that work in accounting for that.
No, that was also for center plow removal. And the point is, we're in a place where, as a city, you would like us to stay solvent. And we've been losing money. This will be our 3rd year.
You're going to lose a lot more money when you lose all your businesses because you only tax businesses and not your residences.
And that's not the case. I understand your perspective, and we can discuss this offline, but I need you to hear that regardless of your perspective, the fact is, we'll lose about $700,000 this year. And so we are looking at areas where we are spending significant chunks of money and not charging for it. And that is what is occurring.
So why can't you charge everybody evenly?
And we can talk about all those things offline. I'd be happy to talk to you. I'd like to talk to you. But half of what I can't quite hear what you're saying, but that's my problem. So, but Nyan, if you will hang out, I'll be happy to talk to you.
I don't think we're going to come to an agreement.
Well, this isn't a debate time anyways, so. But Nyan, Bill, I'm right there with you. I'm not for this at all, because what would be getting tacked onto my business license then, from the old formula that when we first got presented this in October, I believe, for the winter of 22, 23, where we had all that snow and rain, I would have been having another $548 tacked onto my business license just for that much work that I already do myself. You know, everything that's going on right now, I don't have, you know, I'm already right there. And I already clear my own sidewalk right there. We're not talking much. I got 2,000 square, but my sidewalk is maybe window to window here. Right. And I can knock that out in under 10 minutes by myself. I grew up in Michigan, shoveling's easy. But it's just one of those things where I'm not for this. I'm right there with you. I'm not paying $500 to still, you know, just have a bobcat come through my sidewalk in less than 5 seconds a couple times a year, and now instead of $400, I'm looking at $1,000 for my business license. So trust me, I hear you. I'm not voting for this. So, anybody else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ken, maybe I'm confused. The center berm, residents don't get center berm plowing across the city, correct?
Correct.
In the commercial district and in the downtown district, we do center plowing so we can have parking and provide parking for businesses so they can be open and are clearing the sidewalk.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
So this fee is not for just sidewalk clearing, it's for center berm removal as well. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure
But we're already getting the center berm removal as it is right now.
No, you're not.
No, it's Chestnut, we get a center berm removal.
Well, yeah, but you're not paying for it. The city's paying for it.
No, I realize that.
And that's, and we are losing $40,000, $50,000 a year and losing $700 overall, that we can't keep doing that. That's a short.
My opinion is not just the businesses that benefit from this, it's also the residents being able to move around, come down, get their Thrive, come down, get their hardware, come down, get to the gym, come down, get their theory, come down. If anything, this needs to be passed on through some kind of vote, in my opinion, to the citizens so that they can chip in some nickels and dimes as well towards this, because it is benefiting them, so they can get to Black Bear, they can get to work, they can get to the hospital, they can get kids to school, whatever the hell it is. It's everybody. It's not just us businesses, because now all these businesses that, you know, still just don't even get anything themselves. I mean, are we going to hear from, you know, is south end of town with Todd at Shasta Inn going to be coming before us again? Like, hey, quit putting the snow in our parking spots. But then when we did talk to them, they didn't want to pay anything either. And I don't blame them. I don't want to pay this either. So if anything, I think it's not just business. It needs to be on the residents as well, because, you know, no matter what, whether there's snow removal or not, people are, you know, the businesses are still getting open. You know, if I had to be open by 8 in the morning with my business that way, the road is plowed, I got to shovel my sidewalk, so be it. But it's not just the businesses, in my opinion, that have to pay this. This should be on the residents as well through a vote. And tack, you know, just tack on something that way.
Through the chair?
Go ahead.
All right, so this reminds me to a certain degree of the drainage fee increase that we tried to pass. And what we did there was go for a really big increase, relatively speaking, from $1 to, no.
15, going up from 20 to 27?
No, it was based on the size of the place again. So it could, it could be really high for certain places. And so that was rejected. and probably should be revisited because at $1 it's a joke. And this at $12 is too low. However, and it's the same rate from way back in 1980s or 68 or something. So it hasn't been adjusted, so it's basically zero. All right? But I think a better approach might be a flat rate that's higher, and it eliminates the uncertainty of bad winters versus, dry winters, and what that fee could be. How would you, just curious, $50 a year versus 12, flat fee? Is that doesn't bother you, right? Yeah. So that's that, and that's you too, right? Yeah. So, I mean, it maybe doesn't cover the cost of this plowing project most years when it's snowy, but it might be a surplus in other years. That's what I think would go over better with people, especially large square footage folks. So I'm hesitant on this too because I just think there might be a better way. And then if what our audience has been hinting at is we all benefit from snow plowing. How come we don't, kind of like drainage, how come we all just don't pay a fee on our utility bills is what they're hinting at. They didn't really explicitly say it, but that's another alternative. So we have if it's legal, to set up a fee for snow plowing. In general, $5 a month or something like that. So I'm hesitant on this because I think it could be deleterious to a lot of businesses, possibly. So my last question is for staff: how many businesses are in this district? Like 1,700 something? No, 170.
What's that?
170, right?
More like 170.
One
yes.
too many zeros.
I like your thinking, though, on growth.
Yeah, 170.
Well, she's doing his math real quick. And then he's gonna...
Yeah, that's 8,500. That's not going to cover that much.
Are there legal constraints from our lawyer telling us how the structure in which we do this will allow us to go forward without being sued?
We couldn't, we're not by law allowed to extend the tax to the rest of the city. It's only the businesses that are impacted unless you went out for a full vote.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
What was the reason for excluding residences from the cost? Because I guess I understand it in that like businesses benefit, but like say with my own private residence, if I pay somebody to come in and snowplow, I'm paying for that convenience. I mean, these people are still benefiting from the convenience of having their area plowed.
Yes, but again, it comes down to the legality. If you wanted to include those residences in the downtown business district, it would have to go out to a public vote. In addition to that, for what it's worth, there's less than a handful of private business ownerships along that stretch, especially now that we don't go north of Walnut Street. There are residences there, but I think over half of them are bed and breakfasts that pay a business license.
Are we sure about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
With the business license part on the one bed and breakfast next to me? I'm just saying, they're shady people.
Yeah. I mean, one thing.
No, they still got people coming through there. They're paying their TOTs.
Again.
Some people like sleeping with ants.
It's where council wants to land. We could forego clearing sidewalks, but it's very strange to me that we do it, because every place I've ever worked and lived in a lot of snowy places, it's always up to the responsibility of the frontage owner to make that snow disappear. And then that coupled with the flat rate for the removal of that center berm, we could look at that, but it's pleasure of the council.
Couldn't you have a requirement that within 48 hours?
Nyan, if you're going to speak, why don't you come up to the mic?
No, not Nyan, it's not that time. Sorry, Nyan. It's not that time. Sorry. No, the public time is done. It's just us. You guys can talk later. Sorry. Go ahead.
And John, because you're affected by this, let me address this to you. Should we stop center plowing and plow the downtown business district like we plow every other place in the town and pile up snow in the parking places and not clear the sidewalks and say, business owners, you're on your own, fine. If you want to clear the 8-foot berm out of the parking spaces, knock yourself out. And if you don't, then don't. We could head down that path and easy answer. We do the same plowing throughout the town. If you want to clear your sidewalk, great. If you want to clear your own berm, hire somebody to come do that or do it yourself. But if we do that, you will have 5-foot berms across all your parking places, and while they will have no place to park when they get downtown. Or not. Maybe you want to say no, just forget center plowing. Push it all to the side, we'll deal with it.
We can push it to the side, and then everybody just parallel parks like we're supposed to be doing after it's plowed anyways. And then people can just walk around the berms to the sidewalks to the businesses that way. Or maybe an option is after, the city's been taking care of this whole time. Maybe it's just one of these things, if we have a really bad winter, maybe then what we go over, or you're talking about 5-year data, averages that way to base us on. What's the cost over 5 years on average, depending on a slow year to a heavy year, and then take that average, and then if we start getting above that by June, then we can report back, but then have that excess, that amount we went over, then maybe that's what the business owners are contributing to because it's above average, and to divvy it up by the 170 or the square footage, or do some new math that way. Go ahead.
Mayor, kind of addressing what was brought up here, and just to let council know, we already have an ordinance in the Mount Shasta Municipal Code under 12.24.075, which makes mandatory areas for snow removal in the city of Mount Shasta designated by the city council. So if we come back with an area, city council can order certain areas and owners to clear sidewalks under our municipal code under CCO 0601.
So just do it ourselves like we're already doing anyways?
It's already in our ordinance. I can read it for you. City council shall, by resolution, designate the mandatory sidewalk areas in which the owners or occupants of property abutting said sidewalk areas shall be responsible for the removal of snow accumulated on said sidewalks, which may be changed as they deem necessary. So city council has the ability to deem sidewalks in areas through a resolution where the owners are responsible for the clearing and maintenance of that sidewalk, and it's already...
So we already have that in place?
Yes, it's already in place.
Yeah, so that's what I'm already doing anyways. So. And then, that can help, because like the bed and breakfast next to me sometimes takes 2 days for them to shovel their damn sidewalks. So.
I have a question for Ken. Do you have an idea if sidewalk clearing is removed from the responsibility of the city? As Todd had mentioned, that's not very common in a lot of other places. If that was removed, any idea of the cost difference, saving the percentage?
About a quarter to a third of the total cost is for the sidewalks.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, it's actually...
that seems like a spot to look at.
To the chair.
Go ahead, Tessa.
Go ahead, Ken.
I'm sorry. That is the snow removal cost. It's not all the snow plowing. It's the specific snow removal cost.
For the sidewalk.
For the whole downtown area.
The question was just for sidewalks, I believe.
Yeah. The sidewalks are... Yeah, I wanted to make sure the snow plowing is not part of this billing at all. Whether you plow it to the side, whether you plow it to the center. That's not part of this additional cost. The additional cost is for clearing the sidewalks and clearing the center of the street. So, given that, clearing of the sidewalks, about a quarter, maybe a third of that total snow removal cost.
Go ahead, Tessa.
I've just been listening to everyone's point of view. I don't think I was here present when the motion was given by council for the snow ordinance. I think I missed it. So I want to make sure we're not getting into murky water about backtrack. I know we can, but want to make sure that everyone's clear on the needs of our community and what a good way to move forward so that poor Ken doesn't have to bring us back a new snow ordinance every other week. I like the idea of coming to some kind of consensus where we can maybe not do the sidewalks. It sounds like a lot of people do their own sidewalks anyway. I don't know if this is a good time to have a public outreach and say to our downtown, maybe at DIAC, have them reach out to their downtown area and say what works best for everyone. I'd hate to sign something into place and then have it not be the right direction. But I do agree with Councilman to my left that we have a shortfall. We have a lot of shortfalls, and we need to start making up for them. So we need to come up with the money as well.
Anybody else before we?
Or just stop the program.
Stop the service.
Yeah.
Just stop this.
And to the gentleman in the audience, that would be you, Bill, and Nyan. We're here to do what's in the best interest of all the people in the downtown business district. And if it comes back to us that, hey, the best thing is, okay, no requirement, take a quarter of this off, and because we're not going to plow the sidewalks, you guys can plow them yourself.
We're already doing that.
We're happy to do that. That's no problem. That's just cutting back on the service, and which of course reduces our costs and reduces your cost, because $12 isn't obviously going to, a year isn't going to do it. So then you go to the next part. Center, there's only two parts to this: sidewalk clearing and center berm removal. If you just want us to plow into the parking spaces and do no center berming and then center berm removal, if that's what works best for the downtown business community, we'll do that. And of course, there'll be no charge. Again, if that's what you're asking us to do, and that's what the...
But what's the difference at the end of the day between having it on the side or the center? It's still going to help cause sheets of ice to go across because everything's at an angle. And, you know, it's...
It's still an issue, but hang on, guys. Sorry, it's not a debate time.
Yeah, I don't think it's public.
No. Anyways, so all right, we're kind of spinning our wheels here. So are we just gonna have a motion to have this rewritten? Go for approval. What are we looking at on this with being the first reading? Table it for later. Come up with some more ideas.
I think these guys are okay with a larger set fee. You are too.
Well, to some degree. Let's not get too crazy on the large set. But anyways, okay, so where are we at? Are we just good? Should we table this? Because it sounds like we got some.
Go back to the plan A, plan B, and plan C.
So we got a motion to table it then from somebody? Just motion to table it.
Yeah, second.
No, you say motion.
Sorry, motion to table.
Second? All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right. We will table this and talk about it later. All right, what's next? There we go, bonds, yes. Sorry, my bad. Public hearing on the annual military equipment report. Chief Gibson, that's you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. September 2021, the California bill was signed into law, which required all agencies participating in the Federal Surplus Property Acquisition Law of 1945, also known as our 1033 program, to have a policy addressing the use of military equipment. law and our Mount Shasta Municipal Code further requires the police department to present to you, the governing body, an annual report of all military equipment, and that is done in public format to allow for community engagement. With this is the current municipal code, or excuse me, the military equipment report for 2024 is attached to this. At this time, we can open it up for public comment, unless there's clarifying questions.
Yes, anybody have questions before? Okay, open it up to public comment. Anybody want to talk about police guns? No worries. Basically, it says they own no military equipment, so. Okay.
I can hit it real quick if you want. So we have 6 firearms that have been with the police department since I've been here. Currently, all 6 weapons are locked up in a safe. None of them are in use. There's no cost for storing them. There's been no complaints received on them, and we have no plans of acquiring any more. And we're just waiting for the military to figure out their stuff, because we've been trying to return them since I've been chief, and it's just real difficult, and it's not cost effective right now from the military for us to ship them back. So we're just going to keep them locked in a safe and do nothing with them for the next year.
I'm sorry, somebody in America will not take guns back? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, they'll take them back, but they're going to charge me a lot of money.
Okay, so, all right, so yeah, no public comment. Anybody want to bring it back? Anybody want to, this is just a report, no formal motion. Anybody questions?
We just heard the report, so there's no.
That's it, yeah, we're just receiving the report.
Yeah.
So, but nothing to add? All right, we will close that. And now we'll move to the public hearing for Housing Development Plan of Financing. And Todd, you will introduce this one?
Sure. Danco, the developers of the Mountain Townhomes project that we spoke a bit about earlier, they applied for, they submitted an application to California Municipal Finance Authority for tax-exempt financing for the project of an amount not to exceed $25 million. And it is to fund, or to finance, refinance, and equipping the multifamily units. And so what we need to do based on the tax code, we have no obligation, the obligation solely rests with Danco to pay back this money. It's what we're doing is forming a joint powers authority, which is required by the state for a public entity to be part of this process. And so we're just saying we're signing on here, and then the spigot opens for Danco to begin construction on the project in early summer.
Any questions?
To the chair. If Danco backs out, is there a liability to the city to repayment of the
None.
bonds? Okay.
None.
Yeah, the city's completely free of all
No,
this,
and
correct?
and if you've got specific questions, we've got Travis Cooper here from, the California Municipal Finance Authority, but no, we don't have any obligation. We're just saying that we're entering into this JPA.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Travis? If you want to bring him up to have a talk? No?
That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I was going to say, this seems pretty easy. I was going to say, this is easy, but, he's here. I just wanted to, maybe he's got questions. All right, we'll open this up to public comment. If the other two want something to say and they don't care, perfect. All right, bring it back to council. And do we have a motion for adoption?
Yeah, I'll give you a motion. I just want people to note, it's 24 units. It's going to cost $25 million. It's $1 million a unit. It's too expensive to build housing in California. Anyhow, we're going to do it. Resolution, I move to approve resolution number CCR-25-11.
11, yep.
Resolution approving, authorizing, and directing execution of a joint exercise of powers agreement relating to the California Municipal Finance Authority and approving the issuance of exempt facility bonds for a qualified residential rental project by the authority for the for the purpose of financing or refinancing the acquisition, construction, and improvement of certain facilities for the benefit of Mount Shasta Chestnut Street LP.
Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None? There you go, bud. Hope you, yeah, thanks for hanging out at our meeting to see how, farmers market's cool. I hope so, yeah. See you in May. All right, next, number 14, public hearing on the underground utility district. And Jeff Mitchum is not here. I assume, Todd, you're taking this one?
I guess so, yeah. I don't know where Jeff is, but essentially what we're doing is the county has Rule 28 funds that they're willing to donate to the city. They're not going to use them, about $2.67 million. And what we need to do first is form a public utility district, which is what we're trying to do here. And this district and the maps that Ken created, the idea is where we would like to underground these utilities is in and around Lake Street, which will have open as part of the Lake Street reconstruction project to happen in 26. And since we're going to have, the ground open anyway, there'll be, some economies of scale, given that the road is already open on the state's dime. So let's see how many utilities we can bury with this money.
Okay. Is there any chance of using that money to plow Everett since it's from the county?
It's well, let me see if I can get creative. Maybe we can underground the utilities and run it in such a way that we can use the
build a tunnel over Everett Memorial.
Just melt
build
everything into it.
Just spitballing that. The county says they have no money to plow, but they got this. I just thought maybe that was an option. Anyways, obviously not. Okay, sorry. I'm serious. Anyone got questions on this? Seeing none, we will open up to public comment. Diane, come on up.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, so I know we have a shortfall in the city, and this project seems to fall on the county. Well, if you listen to the county meetings, they've got a shortfall too. And you listen to the state meetings, they got a shortfall too. You listen to the federal meetings, they got shortfalls. At what point did we stop spending money? Or find some ways to cut, So as far as these utilities, these do affect me quite a bit. If you look at the timeline on these things, it's going to take like over 6 years for this thing to happen. And a lot of that time is under construction and post-construction and blah, 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 blah. When we built out our building, we paid for a transformer on that pole. I would say, I don't even remember, thousands and thousands of dollars for a transformer. So it sounds like that's going to go away. I'm going to have to pay for another one to go underground. 6 or by this time, maybe 10 years later. And by me doing that, I basically gave more amperage to several other businesses on the boulevard. So I'm all for underground utilities, but these poles in this section they're talking about are pretty low priority. And the other thing that I really, really want to emphasize, and I want this to be clearly marked on public record, is Suburban Propane. They have the propane tanks behind Bill's shop. That services that whole block. If you look through that alley. Now I've talked to corporate, I've talked to the technicians, I've talked to the service people, I've talked to the manager, I've talked to the Wairika office, and I've said I want either bollards because they have a line coming out of the ground and into my building. And it just so happens to be the exact spot where that entire parking lot, all that snow gets pushed right up against this propane line. And there's no bollards, there's no protections. And since day one, 6 years ago, when I bought my building, I asked for that pipe being removed. I said, I don't want your service. We use 95% less propane than any other restaurant. And so we have our own propane set up through Campora. So we're not on that system at all. I've called the fire department twice because of that system leaking. If you talk to the delivery drivers of the other gas companies, they all say, "Oh yeah, that suburban system that's underground leaks like a sieve." And now, if you look at one reason why I'm kind of for this undergrounding these utilities, if you look at on Lake Street, right on the corner of the alleyway, in between Fifth Season and Realty Group. there's a telephone pole there, and you see these 43-foot full-size semis making that turn on Lake Street. And it is threading the needle to get those things. Now, what are they threading the needle through? A massive utility line with tons and tons of wires everywhere, transformers, everything, and a exposed gas line with no bollard, no nothing, with probably a leaky underground stuff. So we did the 1-800 call USA, whatever it was, and we were lucky when we did our construction to not ever get near that. But the Suburban is completely negligent. I want to be on public record that I've been raising this up with them for several years, and I've gotten nothing out of it. The one behind Sparky's, they had this big bush growing ginormous. You couldn't tell that it was there. And you've got, every day there's just trucks and trucks and trucks and trucks going through. So if you're talking about a year and a half of construction where that alleyway is taken up, we can't do deliveries. We get pallets in and out, pallets out all the time. And Bill, your truck comes every day. So, I don't know how these businesses are going to be served with that alleyway being dug up for that long. So this is one of those things of let's weigh it out, whether it's our money or not. Nobody at the local level, nobody at the county level, nobody at the state level, and nobody at the federal level really has this money. So let's actually maybe think about just not spending it. Or maybe let's look at, like what I said in the initial thing, and if we're going to pass a new ordinance, let's find an old one that we can sunset that's costing us money, instead of taxing and kicking the business owners one more time. Anyway, thanks for your time, guys.
Nyan, can I ask you a question? I just want to make sure I understand you. Are you saying no, you don't support this?
I'm saying I do not support this in its current form, and I believe that Suburban needs to be very, very closely looked at and incled in this form.
Well, didn't that
because
just get switched
the
over to
underground
Blue Star?
propane is not clearly marked in this on this thing. It's more about electric. But the propane is a serious problem, and it's way more dangerous than those telephone poles staying in the air. Is that gas system exploding? And I've been saying it for 6 years, and nobody's listening. So I want it to be on public record that I've told all of you guys.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Bill, come on up.
I just kind of wanted to find out what kind of costs are going to be put onto the businesses. I know in the past it was all the buildings that underground utilities were brought up to needed to be up, the whole building then needed to be brought up to code. And so those costs are going to be on the building owners. And so I don't know if that's still a fact or how that works or what kind of money we're looking at as business owners, what it's going to cost us in these areas.
I have no idea on that.
Any upgrades, and again, it's, it's electrical utilities, has nothing to do with propane.
No, yeah.
I know, I hear you. Let me finish.
Okay.
So, we can give these funds back, or we can underground these utilities. We're going to have a plan, and any cost have to be covered by this money. That's it. There's nothing going to be passed along.
Oh, okay. So
to anybody else. No.
There's not going to be any money passed along to business.
No, we're getting free money to underground utilities.
Oh, I'm not against that. I'm not. Just so you understand, I'm not against the underground utilities. I'm just asking what money's going to get, because we had talked about it before. 20 years ago, we had talked about doing it down the alleyway, and at the time, the city said, "Well, then you're going to have to update the whole building up to current codes."
Well, we don't have to do that yet. This is just to establish the idea of an authority to then where we can start planning the work.
Exactly.
And then go from there.
Yeah.
Correct?
No,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all for
Yeah,
it.
this is just step one of being able to use the money that we have for.
Sure, no, I'm all for that. I just didn't know if it came down to if there was going to be a cost passed on to business owners.
I'll let you know when I hear something.
Yeah, all
Trust me.
right. Thank you.
Okay, so close public comment, bring it back to council on this. John, you look like you got ready.
So, I want to talk about this for a second. So $2.6 million is going to accomplish what? It's not that much money.
We don't know until we get into it and we get a plan. I have no idea. It's one pole. Is it
I'm
50?
totally in favor of getting all these lines undergrounded. As far as the propane thing is concerned,
there's-
that's really a concern that should be dealt with separately from a code enforcement standpoint.
Well, didn't Blue Star just
So-
take over Suburban on the line there?
Is what now?
Didn't Blue Star just take over Suburban's lines or something that way downtown?
I'm not
Wasn't
sure.
something swapped out?
This is purely for electrical undergrounding.
No, but I'm just, since
Yeah,
propane
I
was
have
brought
no
up, I'm just clarifying.
But he's bringing up an important point
Yep.
as a separate item. But to me, that's a code enforcement issue. So, gentlemen, yeah. No, I'm all in favor of underground the utilities, not just from an aesthetic standpoint, but yeah, I just don't think $2.6 million is going to do that much linear feet, but see what it'll do. To start. I also thought the district was going to be a lot smaller. I thought it was just going to be related to Lake Street, but it's in all the areas I think.
Well,
that should be.
it's
Yeah.
the district.
So I'm happy with that. Yeah, no, it's good.
The district is wishful thinking. I mean, it's if we had additional money coming in, which we won't.
No, we're setting up the district, and if money does come in, then we can continue with the process.
But it's ultimately going to be along Lake Street.
It's going to be Lake Street related to the rebuild of Lake Street.
Yep.
That's good. All right.
Okay, so we got
I'm
a
ready to
motion?
go.
You
Yeah.
wanna make a motion?
No. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Casey.
If this is already at a time when Lake Street is already being redone.
Yeah.
Is there any estimate, like, would this add additional time to that, or is it just sort of like a tack-on thing that would be done because it's already?
What we have in place is, the reconstruction of Lake Street. It has to happen within the time frame of when we need to deliver the project, or we just can't do it.
Jim, you have something? No? All right, go ahead, John.
Move to approve resolution number CCR-25-12, resolution of the City Council of the City of Mount Shasta establishing an underground utility district number 1.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None? Okay. Moving on to number 15. Priority for water and sewer service to affordable housing developments. And Ken, do you got this, or Todd, or since Jeff's not here?
Yeah, this is Jeff's item. I think we need to table this.
Table this one for
I
him?
need to figure
Okay.
out where Jeff is.
Move to table agenda item number what?
15.
15 to first
2
meeting
weeks.
in March.
Yeah.
All right. All those in favor say aye. 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 All opposed? None? All right. And now moving on, council reports. Any outside meetings? Anybody? Bueller?
No, really haven't.
Yeah. It's wintertime. Nobody cares? All right. Yeah, rub it in. Yeah. It was warm. You had fun. Yeah. Yeah, rub it in. All right, anyways, moving on to future agenda items appearing on the agenda within the next 60 to 90 days. All of these are to be determined. Public hearing, possible revocation of business license, condemnation of Chestnut parcels, beautification committee presentation to council, survey of Washington Avenue, discussion and possible action, rental, lease, or purchase of lot located at the northwest corner of Alma and North Mount Shasta Boulevard. Other than that,
No, yeah, I think we need to add.
anybody want to add anything? Yes, I
we
forgot
need-
to add that part.
And hopefully somebody agrees, we need to start the discussion on rebudgeting for 25, 26.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got that one second. All right.
Because the money is disappearing. Rebudgeting, future agenda item, starting the process, second meeting in March.
Something, yeah. Give Melissa some time again.
Rebudgeting for 25, 26. Because we now do 2-year budgets, but it's.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. We need to get this earlier one figured out, 100%. Any other agenda items to add? All right, and we shall adjourn until March. I was expecting 8.
I mean, we're subsidizing your ass, both your businesses.
But then we skipped an agenda item, so that. No, we skipped.